Yoshi's hierarchy of needs. But in South Africa, there's an awesome solution out there, which I'm hoping lots of you have tried out. So can you just raise your hands? And by the way, I know the pick and pay word was one of the Bitcoin words, but we're just going to forget about it for the sake of this talk just now. Who of you here has used Bitcoin to buy something at some point in your Bitcoin journey? Great. Leave your hand up if you're still South African. Cool. Leave your hand up if you have used it at Pick and Pay. So some of you haven't. Okay. So for those that haven't, can you go to the App Store or the Play Store on your phone right now? And for the tourists in the room, do it as well. Go to the App Store or the Play Store on your phone right now. We're going to go through it together. I'm going to show you how easy it is to spend Bitcoin at Pick and Pay, which is, one of the biggest, I think it's the second biggest merchants in South Africa. It's like Walmart or it's like Tesco. Pardon? On the continent? Oh my God, it gets bigger. Okay, Pick and Pay, the best place in the world to buy biltong. So go to the App Store or the Play Store, whichever is your poison of choice, and type in crypto QR. It looks like this. My face is on the screen, right? Cool. Crypto QR. Is that showing? So the word crypto, then QR. Download that. It'll literally take 2 seconds. Are you downloading it? Can I get a yes? Yeah, we're excited about this. Great, okay. When you open it up, it's going to do a test transaction with your Lightning wallet of choice. Personally, I prefer Phoenix Wallet because it's non-custodial. Ask Anita Posh why Phoenix Wallet is the best wallet out there. Not sponsored, again, just a great wallet. Are you doing that right now? You are? Fantastic. Once it's done that test transaction, that's it. All you have to do when you go to Pick and Pay is say, well, I said the words, but I probably got it wrong. I said, can I pay with a QR code? And then they showed me a QR code on the screen. Don't do what I did, which is open up your Bitcoin Lightning wallet and try and scan it and think, oh, another Bitcoin solution that doesn't actually work in the field. I was the problem. What you have to do is open up the Crypto QR application, scan it with that. Some magic internet money stuff goes on in the background. Secretly, you're paying with Bitcoin, and everybody's happy. But you can do that in every Pick and Pay in South Africa. I'm pretty confident about this because I've used it at 6 Pick and Pays so far. 6 Pick and Pays. I've recorded every one. There's going to be a little montage in a few days' time. Okay, that's my preamble out the way, Carel. I was just trying to shill your product as best I could here. But please welcome to the stage the man behind that solution, Carel van Wyk. Take it away, Max, dude. Not at all, mate.
Can I get a microphone? Thank you.
Up already, sorry. Oh, is this just for show?
No, this is actually, there's another documentary that's some guys are running, so they asked me if they can film it. It's about Bitcoin. All right. Okay, cool. I'll try to be on time. It's 2:20. Sorry about the name Crypto QR. I'll explain everything. I know crypto, Bitcoin, not crypto. We'll get there. Yes, you should boo. You should boo. But just give me a second. But firstly, I'd like to welcome all of our international guests. Some of you have been here before. I see a lot of familiar faces, and some of you are here for the first time. I hope that you have the opportunity to enjoy some of our beautiful nature, fantastic food and wine, and South African hospitality. Welcome. And to our local attendees, I'd just like to say, wow, we did it. The first Bitcoin-only event, first Bitcoin-only conference. Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, Kotsatso, Herman, Max, all the event organizers. I've been organizing meetups and talks and discussions for many, many years. And then invariably at the end of it, there's some people coming up to me and saying, okay, but now, when do we buy? When do we sell? And have you heard about this other token that's magical and better than Bitcoin? And then I'm always disappointed. So this is the first time that we have a Bitcoin-only conference in the CTICC, and I hope it's like the seed that's germinated, put down its first taproot, and will sprout into a big, beautiful tree. Let's keep the momentum and energy going. Anyway, who's this random guy that's talking about trees and things? So my name is Carel van Wyk. It's an extremely Afrikaans name, so I also accept Carel van Wyk, that's fine. I'm an engineer, and I've been building products in the digital payment space for over 10 years. So I'm one of the first engineers on a project called SnapScan. It's like a pioneer mobile payments app using QR codes. I'm the co-founder of Luno. It's one of the first and biggest emerging markets Bitcoin exchanges. If you're driving through town and you look up at the skyline, you might see a logo that looks like that. But I'm no longer involved there. The current project I'm working on is called CryptoConvert. Again, sorry about the name, I'll explain it. CryptoConvert, and we make it safe and simple for merchants to accept Bitcoin payments, via Lightning specifically, because I believe that Bitcoin can be money. I believe Bitcoin has to move, right? So we've got Femi speaking at 3. There's Femi sitting right there. Love listening to you talk, man. Femi's talking about, or he often talks about sort of the experience of us here in South Africa and Africa versus the lived experience of people in the West, where they don't face the same restrictions on money that we face. And so the use case of Bitcoin as a medium of exchange is something that kind of appeals to us more, as opposed to the store of value. And so I'm also posing a question to you here today. Are you here to become rich, or are you here to become free? Because for me, it's about the freedom aspect. And so that's what we're going to be talking about anyway. And actually both. Both, actually. Yes. Sound money and a way to send it around. Okay, preparing for this talk's actually been quite difficult for me. I decided that I'm going to go into a little bit into sort of the context of South Africa and why you see what you see when you fly into Cape Town International Airport and you ride down the street. You can see that it's a country that faces a lot of problems, and the Business League explained that there's a lot of government issues and failure. But to provide some context where we're coming from, I decided I'm going to share a bit of my own life story. So I was born in the later years of the apartheid regime of South Africa. Apartheid is an Afrikaans word basically meaning segregation. So we were not a democratic society, and government imposed certain limitations, restrictions on the rights of non-white South Africans. In fact, they were deemed as second-class citizens. And don't want to get into that too much. There's a lot to be said about it, but that pain that perpetuates to today is part of a large part of the problems that we see and face in society today. So I was born in the later years of that, and then in 1994 everything changed. There was a very dramatic change in our society, in our constitution, in our government, and the picture you're seeing there is of the 1994 inauguration of Nelson Mandela at the Union Buildings. So I was actually there. I was sitting on the stage there and I was listening to him speak and deliver his inauguration speech. And one of the things that he said was, "The time to bridge the chasms that divide us is here, and the time to build is upon us." So how have things changed? Well, 25 years later, Time magazine releases an issue calling us the world's most unequal country, the most unequal country in the world. And even though it's no longer in terms of like unfair laws and government rules, it's now based along the axis of money. So the rich have become richer and the poor have become poorer. And it's not only about how much money people have, it's also about the way that people engage with money. So if you look at kind of statistics around how we pay for things, the majority of payments are actually cash. So you can see on the graph the number of points of sale payments by volume. The majority of it's cash. And that's because most people use cash. Most shops prefer receiving cash. But that's like in the national sense. When you look at the value that's being spent, in other words, the amount of money, not the number of transactions, amount of money, the majority of that is card. And why is that? It's because card payments, they tend to be expensive for the merchant, and most people don't have that kind of money to support card payments. So we're in this situation where we're kind of like dealing with like middle-aged money, medieval money, like paper money, right? And the question is, can we kind of like leapfrog this situation? Can we get away from a situation where people have to deal with cash, and we've got cash in transit heists and violence and people getting robbed for physical cash? And can we kind of leapfrog that, as we've seen technology allow other African nations to leapfrog, like with mobile money and M-Pesa? But can we leapfrog all of this by using Bitcoin? So if you also look at sort of the situation that we face, if you hold rands, so like I said, most people pay with cash. It means they hold cash. The savings is literally cash, putting it under a mattress. They don't have sophisticated offshore bank accounts and international investments. So they're stuck with rands. And what's happening with the rand is that it's depreciating in buying power, depreciating against other international currencies. In the past 10 years, we've lost 50% forex rate against the US dollar. So that if that continues, I mean, where do we end up in a global sense? And I don't want to bang the drum too much about like failed government, but these are kind of like the headlines that we face growing up as young South Africans. We've got collapsing infrastructure and public services. We're worried about the future of our water security. And of course, you'll probably all get a nice taste of load shedding while you're here. But there's some other things also happening that also affects our money in terms of the kind of restrictions that we face. So we're facing this grey listing from the Financial Activation, FATF. That means we were essentially kind of like soft sanctioned. We face other restrictions like exchange controls, which also, as inflation kind of erodes the thresholds, we become more and more restricted. It's like we're all wearing straight jackets that's being pulled tighter and tighter and tighter because of the control of our money. So growing up, these are kind of like the things that I was thinking about, like are we being restricted, are we being censored, are we being controlled? And then seeing the pain that all of this also inflicts on my fellow countrymen and how it persists to today. So in 2004, I read this awesome sci-fi thriller by Neil Stephenson, Cryptonomicon. And how many people have read this book? Only a few, only a handful. I'm actually quite surprised because this was my introduction to cryptocurrencies. I'm saying cryptocurrency because it's 2004, right? Bitcoin or crypto, Bitcoin didn't even exist then. This is my introduction to cryptocurrencies. I started thinking about this idea, this concept of a neutral, non-government, free and fair store of value that we could use to escape the straitjacket that's been put on us. And also in the book, they talk about using this cryptocurrency that they develop to free people that live under tyrannical rule. So it's kind of, it resonated quite strongly. But then I thought, that's quite nice. I was thinking about it for a very, very long time. But it's sci-fi, right? It can't exist. There's no way this magical thing could ever exist. Until I read the Bitcoin white paper. And it literally blew my mind. I was like, what? This thing that I've been thinking about and dreaming about for years and years and years, it's here and it's possible. It's a reality. So I decided to devote my life to developing tools to give people access to this thing. And by the way, I don't know if Edwin's here. I don't see Edwin from Witstrand. For Edwin's sake, I just want to categorically state I don't support or endorse any other tokens. In fact, I've never touched Ethereum or Solana smart contract, never played around with anything else other than Bitcoin. Bitcoin only, okay? So initially I was ridiculed. People were like, you're playing with this magical internet money, you're like wasting your time, when you're going to get a real job. And I felt quite alone. Like I said, like all these meetups and people would come, but they didn't get it, they didn't understand. But over time I started to realize that there were some other South Africans that felt the same way. They saw things the same way, and they realized that Bitcoin represented an opportunity for us to start building ourselves not to wait for the state to solve our problems, but for us to take our own destinies in our own hands and build our own futures. Time to build is upon us. And I'm just going to share a couple of things. I know Abe Cambridge, he's speaking tomorrow. He's the founder of the Sun Exchange. We're facing an energy crisis, and this guy comes and says, well, let's crowdsource solar panel investment and solar generation investment using Bitcoin. Now, we've got suddenly a global audience for this crowdfunding. And then there's amazing grassroots campaigns like Bitcoin Ekazi. I hope somebody actually, Herman, you're going to talk about Bitcoin Ekazi and explain what you do. Yes, Herman will speak about this. So I'm not going to say too much, but it's this incredible grassroots thing that seems to be growing and growing and growing. And similarly, we've got these circular economies popping up all over the place. There's Bitcoin Witsand, Edwin and Nikki doing great work, signing up all of the shops and merchants and businesses in Witsand. And as you can see, kind of like along the east coast, we've got these nice congregations of places that accept Bitcoin, and it's actually looking pretty good. If you look at South Africa, I think we can confidently say that we're ahead of the curve when it comes to Bitcoin adoption. So I'll speak a bit about that. But obviously, you're yet to hear me speak about Pick n Pay. So Pick n Pay, like Joe said, it's the second largest retailer in South Africa and also on the continent. So we call it like the Walmart of South Africa. They've got more than 1,500 stores. They sell clothing, day-to-day goods. They also sell services. You can even buy plane tickets and bus tickets and travel things. You can pay your municipal bills and your DSTV bills, buy data, electricity, everything there. And the reason that they added Bitcoin payments is because they took a stand and said, we want to serve our customers better by giving them more ways to pay. So they initiated the strategy of adding more digital payments in store, and what's the best, most future forward-thinking technology that they could add? Obviously, it was Bitcoin. In that time, I was discussing it with them. I was still at Luno. They came to me and said, is this something that we can try? So this project's actually been running since 2017. And we initially tried it on-chain, and it didn't work. The fees killed it. Then Lightning came along, and we said, let's try it again. And this time it worked phenomenally well, like really, really well. Like really, if you have an opportunity to go buy something at Pick n Pay with Lightning, do it, because it feels like you feel like you get away with a bank heist. You're like paying with sats, the slip prints out, and you're like out the door, and you're like, did that just happen? Didn't swipe a card, didn't hand over cash. Like a magic internet money just bought my tea or coffee or whatever there. So maybe just to explain how it works, but it's a bit confusing. A lot of people come up to me and they're like, I tried to scan the code with my Lightning wallet, it didn't work. So why not? The reason is that Pick n Pay uses a common QR code. There's many other wallets that they also support. And so we had to find a way to kind of like translate this code that they already use into a Lightning invoice. So what we did is we said, okay, let's have a companion application. And all it does, it's literally just a QR code scanner. All it does is it scans the QR code, which is a Pick n Pay common QR code, and then it extracts the payment information. It generates a Bolt 11 Lightning invoice, and it automatically pops up your Lightning wallet so you can complete the payment. So I know it's a little bit annoying, but we've also done some work in the past year with companies like Valor. Farzam was here earlier. We've worked with Valor, worked with Luno, to add the scanning functionality straight into their application, so you only need one. But really, I recommend using Lightning. So install CryptoQR, why CryptoQR? Pick n Pay, pick the name, okay? We work on the project. They had to put something on the till slip, and they said, okay, we're going to put CryptoQR because we're adding crypto payments. And then we decided the least confusing thing is going to be to just name the app CryptoQR. Pick n Pay picked it. And we just decided to roll with it. And really, like I know Bitcoin, not crypto, but for me, I'm still like coming from that Cryptonomicon days. And cryptocurrency to me still means only Bitcoin, really. To me, Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency. So, sorry, I'm old school. But yeah, please, please, please try this. And I don't make a lot of money off of this, so I'm like shilling it, but whatever. how's it been going? Well, it's actually been going really well. In the past 6 months, we've had a 30% month-on-month growth. And we launched in Feb nationally, did the rollout, and I think by Feb we'll have 300% growth. Now the numbers are still like in the hundreds. We're doing about, let's say, 1.5 to 2,000 transactions a month. But that's 2,000 Lightning transactions a month. That's insane. That's pretty cool. Now what does the breakdown look like? Okay, why is the ETH and XRP in here? Like I said, we worked with Valor and Luno. These companies do support other tokens, and their users can pay with the other tokens. But as you can see, like the majority of it is Bitcoin and Lightning, which I think is extremely encouraging. And like we're going to have to put in our effort to make this pie look even better. We need to like drown out those ETH and XRP heads. What does the rest of the industry look like? Well, Bitrefill was kind enough to give me some data, and I said I'll show their eSIM. Same thing, they're seeing growth in terms of numbers. And then if you kind of compare South Africa to the rest of the world, you can see that we're ahead in terms of Lightning and Bitcoin adoption. So that's encouraging, but we need to do more. So today, I'm going to ask you, what can you do? Do you want to be rich or free? And I want to challenge this idea of hodl and stay humble and stack sats. Yes, you should do this, right? This is what you should be doing. Spend your fiat, buy Bitcoin, save your Bitcoin, stack it. But is it enough? Does that mean the Bitcoin is moving? Maybe we should think about it a little bit differently. I'm not saying spend your stack. Like people come up to me like, hodl only, I'll never spend my stack, so thanks for all the work, thanks for all the hard work you've done, but I'll never use your product. I'm like, cool, but I'm not saying spend your stack. On the picture there, your stack's not being touched. I'm just saying buy more Bitcoin, right? Buy more Bitcoin so that you can spend it. Now, why is this important? Why is it better to spend Bitcoin than the dirty fiat? And you're not going to get your e-bucks rewards. You're not going to get your credit card loyalty points. It's going to be a bit of a hassle because this is like developing technology, right? It's going to be a little bit painful. Why should you go through that pain? Well, if you do this, you create demand. It's a chicken and egg situation, right? You'll create demand from merchants because ultimately you'll show them there's a market for people that want to pay in Bitcoin, and more merchants will adopt Bitcoin payments. Why is that important? Well, we need to grow the circle, right? Let's say you spend Bitcoin at the shop that accepts it. That shop can now hold the Bitcoin. They can restock at another store that accepts it, and they can pay their staff in Bitcoin should they want to accept it. You can start to pay your contractors and other people because you can tell them, look, I'll pay in Bitcoin, and then you can go spend it at these and these and these shops. So it's easier to orange bill. And then everybody along that line, all the businesses, all the people can start stacking as well. And that's what we want, right? We want people saving in a form of money that's sound. And eventually this completes the circle so that you're no longer even earning rands. Now you're earning Bitcoin. And we've got a perfect circular economy. And eventually we'll not only bridge the gaps that we face locally, but we'll bridge the gaps internationally. And we'll have a global circular economy. So I'd just like to echo those words that I heard so long ago, that the time to build is upon us. And I'm going to say this, stay humble, spend and stack sats, okay? Thank you very much. If you have questions, there will be a panel at 5, I think, so I'll be on that. You can also ask questions there. But thank you. Thanks, Joe. Thanks to the organizers. Awesome.
That was amazing. That was so good. Really well done, Carl. That was fantastic. So good to see people encouraging spending and saving your sats so that we can get those wonderful results like we are seeing in South Africa today. Bitcoin Akazi, you can live off Bitcoin. Bitcoin Whitsun, you can live off Bitcoin. Most of the country, you can live off Bitcoin. I'm proof of that. Other than a couple of occasions where my girlfriend had to buy dinner and I paid her back in Bitcoin, I've mostly lived off Bitcoin here. So it's happening, and the reason we get there, the reasons or the tools that we have are available, and the reason we get there is because it leads to a more Bitcoinized world, and that's why we're all here. That's why we're here, for adopting Bitcoin. Okay, so I'm a bit pumped up after that. Thank you so much, Carl. That was fantastic. Now that we're pumped up,